let's make sure that that is on. There we go. Thank you so much for reminding me. So the moments, we talked about creating moments with our customers. We talked about social listening, and I hope that you guys were able to look at that yourself. So you're kind of watching what's happening and what people are talking about. Breaking the ice, which hopefully you guys have thought about, like how can you break the ice with people and give them a little something into quick wins. And quick wins was being able to provide them with something that's very, very helpful that kind of kicks it off on the right note. It also could be in person, a compliment, right? As someone walks in, we talked about that in the retail business. It's very common for that quick win just to compliment them on something that you appreciate about what they're wearing or whatever it may be. And then storytelling. And that's telling all the great stories, not only about you, but about them, and just kind of creating that storytelling center, especially around your social media. And if you do email newsletters, it can be incredibly powerful there as well. And then the last one, which is my favorite tip, because on the surface, it seems like, oh, of course you do that. But most of us don't take time to do it. I know that I'm guilty of that. Our group is guilty of that. But we also know that when we do set aside time every single week, several times a week, that makes the hugest jump in taking our clients from casual, or customers from casual to active. So that's what went over last time. I hope you were able to take some goodies away from that and start to implement some things. And today, I want to talk about active to connected. So moving them from, okay, now they're engaging with you and you're engaging with them, and they're actively watching what you're doing or even seeking it out. And so now we want to take that audience, which hopefully you've grown and is kind of getting bigger than just the casual audience. And we want to take them to being connected with you and your business. And when I say you, I just mean the business as a whole and everything that goes with it. So we're going to talk today about creating belonging. And this is true in any industry. It doesn't have to be a group type thing. It could be anything, a restaurant, retail, anything at all, a service-based business. You want to help people feel like, hey, they're part of this too. It's something that we love, especially right now. The markets show that what we like is small. We love small business, which is great for us and our community, because here in our area, Roanoke and New Valley, we're kind of known as the small business capital of Virginia, which is awesome. And it's just because rental space is less expensive than some other areas, and we just have a great spirit about our region that creates entrepreneurs and small business owners. And so people love that here, and they want to shop small, and they want to do business with small businesses. And so to do that, you want to create, or to encourage that, create belonging. We're going to talk about giving them a shot, and we'll talk about what that means here in a minute. We're going to talk about creating challenges in different ways that might be relative to you, or at least maybe inspire you to create something of your own. We're going to talk about pulling back the curtain, which is a little bit about sharing and kind of owning that you are a small business, and sharing more about yourself and your employees and behind the scenes stuff that's happening. Okay, so not the personal piece is part of that, but we talked about that last time. We're going to spend a little bit more focus today on the behind the scenes. We're going to talk about bringing your customers together in person or virtually. We're going to talk about giving them a name and sharing the stage. So let's get started. And I want to show you, I might be showing my age here, but if anybody's familiar with Norm from the show Cheers, I don't even know when that stopped airing, a long time ago, but it's always this great example. And if you haven't seen the show, I'm sure it's on Netflix or one of the streaming services, and you just watch one. All you need is one to understand that Norm is a client of a bar that he belongs. Like it's his second home, basically. Everyone knows him, knows what he wants. And it's kind of this cheeky show where there's a lot of, banter going back and forth. And I love one of his quotes when the bartender says, "What's going down, Normie?" And Norm says, "My butt cheeks on that bar stool." And he's so comfortable being there. It's just, he can be funny and be himself. And that's what you want your clients to be, even if it is online and all virtual. And we'll talk a little bit about how to do that and how to create the Norm experience. But let's roll into our first kind of thing with moving from active to connected, and that is giving your customers a shot. That's what we like to call it. And it's really just inviting customers to participate. And you can do this in a lot of ways. Again, social media or email newsletters, however you communicate with your customers or your base. And I love this, especially on social media, because it creates engagement there. And so the first one I have here is you can ask a question. And when you do that, you can just say in the comments below, "Tell us XYZ." And encourage them to communicate with you. And every post doesn't have to be like that, but every once in a while, ask for their feedback. Don't hope that they're going to comment, right? Like, just ask it. And I'm going to be honest with you, if you don't have a big following right now on social media, you're going to ask this and you might have no one respond. And it's okay. It's okay. You've got to keep doing it. That's the name of the game in social media right now. It is much harder to build your base there these days than it was, 3 to 5 years ago, or even 10 years ago when it began, pretty heavy in our area. It's harder now. So you just have to keep with it. And then eventually you're going to have that active client tell you something and comment. And then it's going to encourage other people to do that. You can also build, I wish our area collaborated a little bit more with small businesses. You can build little groups. So if you know of other business owners, and you guys could get together and say, "Okay, we're going to watch each other's social media pages and we're going to comment and converse with each other there." And that's a great way just to show people that people are responding, even though it might be your friend down the street that owns a different business. It encourages them to post too. A lot of people are shy to be the first to comment, especially in today's environment where a lot of what we do online is judged, and no one likes to be judged. But once a conversation starts, people are far more willing to make a comment. So that's just a little tip that you can use if you have other small business owner friends, or even just friends of yours, family. It could be anybody. The next one I have this is a really important point, and I actually do an entire workshop on this that we might do next year again, but it's talk with your customers, not at them. And I got to tell you guys, this is tough. I didn't even come up with an example here. But if you've ever followed along with a company and they're posting something, or they send you an email and you feel like you're talking with them, like you're not conversing, but the messaging is very much to you, like they're writing to their friend. They're not barking orders, or they're not talking at people. I can give you one example. I recently got an email. Everyone's thinking about schools going back, and what's going to happen with that, and what are we going to do as parents? If you guys are parents, I know you're going through that as well. And I got an email from my son's school, and I felt like they were talking at me, and it didn't feel good. It really left kind of this sour taste in my mouth for days, and I had to really contemplate what to do about it. But they were certainly talking at us, at me, their recipients. And it could have been much more well received if they were talking with, and like they were writing to a friend. And that doesn't mean that you can't be formal if you need to be sometimes, or some businesses require that. But just check your language, and even have someone else check it for you if you feel like your common vibe that you set off is talking at people, because that's a habit. And it is for many of us. I'm guilty of it. Sometimes I'll have to read things 3 or 4 times and even ask someone else, especially if I'm in a mood one day and I'm just like, I don't want to talk at people. Have someone check that. And then you can start to, when you're called out on it, you can start to recognize it and start to talk with people. But it's critical. It's really a critical piece of the puzzle. And then here's a fun one for you guys. I wanted to give you a tip on this, and that's playing games. I love watching companies that do this. It's just so fun. And so I want to give you a couple ideas that might inspire you to do your own. You're welcome to steal these, but if they don't make sense for you, maybe you'll come up with something that does and that would work really well. But one is caption this. I know you guys are familiar with that. And again, this can be on social media or email. It doesn't have to be just social media. But you post a picture, maybe it's funny or maybe it's serious, and ask people to caption it. Certainly, the funnier it is, the more likely you're going to get responses on it. And these are always at the Roanoke Small Business Center. These are our most favorited, most engaged with posts is when we do a caption this. We don't do it very often. We need to do it more. But it's just a great way to start the conversation, to get those people who are already following you, your active customers, to start commenting. And then you kind of do it more and more, and you'll see the same people kind of conversing with you. And then you've got this little group, which is really cool. The other one that I love, I call it Where's Waldo? There might be a formal name for this. Maybe you guys know. And if you do, you can put it in chat. I call it Where's Waldo? And it's where you might take a picture of something and you ask your audience to look for a specific something in the picture. And so the Roanoke libraries are doing this right now, which is a lot of fun. They just take this kind of wide photo of the library, and staff members are kind of hiding in different places, and you have to find them. And so it's just a fun way for people to look for that and expect it. And they do one once a week, so there's this kind of cadence to it. Another group, if you want to look them up on social media, is Harvest Social Company. I think they're on Facebook too. I follow them on Instagram. They're actually my media team, but they also do it. And they'll take pictures of one of their team members in a big crowd, for example, and you have to find the person. So those are always fun, just fun. It has nothing to do with your business. It's just a way to start giving your customers a way to participate with you. Another one is guess the answer. So this does pertain to your business. You want to ask a question that has something to do with your business and let people guess the answer. And then, obviously when you play these games, you want to kind of converse with the people as they're doing it and make sure that you wrap it up once it's done. You don't want to let people converse or leave comments on your post and you not go back and like them and talk with them. So the whole purpose is that you're able to engage with them in this way. The other one is guess that song. So I love it when businesses choose songs that are relatable to their business. Maybe not specifically related, but there's a word or there's a verse or there's a phrase that could be related to your business. And you might use that quote. You can post it and say, guess that song, and have people guess it. That's always a fun game that I see people really engaged in. And again, it's not directly tied to your business, but you can make it relatable by choosing a song that has a phrase or something like that. So a great example for one that we've done recently is, I can't even remember the song, but any song that has hustle in it, right? Any song that's about hustling, we can use, or anything that has to do with making money, anything at all. We can use those kind of fun songs to play the game, and it's really cool. And the last one I have here is called Never or I Have. And this is, you can just ask a question. It's a little bit like truth or dare. You want to ask some fun questions. You can make them pertaining to your business. I saw a kitchen store recently do this, where I think they asked about brining, and I don't know, you guys, I think I told you last time, I don't know anything about tea. I also don't know anything about cooking. But there was a question, and everyone, they were like, have you never done this, or you have done this? And people were just commenting away, and it was kind of fun to watch. The other place that I love to do games like this, if you guys are on Instagram and even Facebook, but Instagram just has more options, is to do them in your stories. And that's just a great way for people. You can actually do a never or I have button, and they can click on it So it's a little bit easier for them to converse with you or participate with you than having to type a comment. And I know that sounds lazy, but let me tell you guys, I don't know what your customer base is, but the younger the base, the less they want to be typing or talking. They like the buttons and making everything super quick. And you'll see that your participation will go up if you have it so super easy like that. So if you haven't played around with Instagram stories, I'd encourage you to do so, or even Facebook stories, because they're good too. And then the last one here, I'm just going to say, ask what your customers think about something. Okay, so the first one is you just want them to comment or tell you something that you're talking about. But this is literally asking them something about your business. Maybe you're trying to decide on something. Maybe you're going to paint. I don't know, if you have a retail spot and you're going to paint your walls and you're trying to decide on the color. Let your audience be part of that kind of behind the scenes stuff and let them participate. You don't have to do what they say. You can have a vote and let people vote on things, but it doesn't mean that you have to follow through with it. You do have to do something, and you can share why you did what you did. But don't be afraid to ask in thinking that you're going to have to implement it. It doesn't, you're just trying to get engagement and to let them know that you're just curious. You're super curious about what they think about something that you're doing. Okay, so Lydia's got on here, what are some of the questions about your business that you might ask? So let's say I saw recently an example of a business was using kind of their downtime to think about doing a little bit of rebranding, just refreshing their brand, not completely redoing it, but just, using some of the time to get creative. And they were trying to decide on a font. I mean, something super easy as a font. And so they shared 2 options and just asked people, what do you think? And it was really cool because that's something you typically don't see. That stuff is usually done behind the curtains that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. And you don't see that part of the process. And it just, people had all kinds of opinions, and it was great to watch. It could also be maybe you're going to carry something new or offer a new service. Go ahead and ask people what they think about it. I have to be honest, I was always shy about doing this in my own businesses. It was one of those tough things for me. I felt like I had to, know what I wanted and know what our customers wanted and offer it. But once I was able to let that guard down through many mentors helping me do that, it really helped open up my customers to participating with me and helping me decide on things, or at least allowing me to listen to what they thought. So it could be a new product or service that you want to carry. Some things that I would say don't ask about is don't ask about price. Don't ask about price. That's a big one that I get asked a lot. And they want to ask, is it too expensive? Because those are questions we have, right? Especially if you're not selling something. You want to know, do I have this marked up too much? Those questions should be reserved for private conversations and not social media or newsletter type conversations, not public conversations. So this should just be something fun, simple, and quick. If you work with other people or have other friends that you kind of converse with, I know being a business owner can be a lonely place. Brainstorm some that's specific to your business with them. It's always helpful to have a couple brains together to do that. Let's see. Thanks. What about the question regarding the playing games? An example, or what is taboo? So I think I gave some examples of the games that I talked about here with each one. The Caption This and Where's Waldo? Guess the Answer. Guess What Song, or Never, or I Have. And so the examples that I went through are, we could probably spend a little bit more time on those, but I definitely would encourage you to look through social media and find other people that are doing it. The Roanoke Library is doing it currently, and then Harvest Social, I know. And there's probably plenty of others doing it too, but those are 2 that specifically stand out to me because they do it at a cadence, meaning they do it pretty often. And so it's something that I'm kind of looking for and looking to experience with them. And taboo, obviously politics, the normal, right? Politics, financials, Now, obviously, if you're an accountant, you're going to be talking about money, but your business financials, right? You don't want to be talking about that. Politics, religion. And I also want to just say that with those things, also know that your business has a personality. And if those things are part of your business, it's absolutely okay to talk about them and say them and play games around them. Because if that's the clientele you're trying to attract, that's what you're going to attract. And in those cases, it's absolutely okay to talk about all those things. You just have to understand what comes with it. And be absolutely okay with that. And I'd encourage you, if you want to make that part of your business, to absolutely do it. It's certainly becoming more of an opportunity currently than it was in the past. And then obviously, if you're on social media, I don't know what types of stores that you guys have, but you don't want to talk about sex related questions or anything that might be marked by one of the social platforms as inappropriate. So you just have to be careful with that. But other than that, it's fair game. I haven't seen, I don't know that I've ever seen any of the games go awry. I'm sure that they do, but I haven't seen it, and I haven't heard from others that have. It's usually something that's very popular and works really well. Again, I do want to remind you, you might do that one time if you don't have a very big following yet and no one plays, and that's okay. But I'll also tell you, that's one of the things that I love about Facebook and Instagram stories. So not a post, but a story, because they're temporary and you can allow people to vote and do things on there, and no one else really sees what's happening. And some people say, well, don't you want people to see and engage? And yes, sometimes you do. I always say yes and, right? Yes, sometimes you do. But other times, if you're a little bit shy about that and you don't want to put something out there and no one respond, start it in your stories and do it fairly often there, and just get people starting to get used to it and see who's responding. It's just kind of a great way to do some of that social listening without everybody also listening. So maybe play around with that. Okay, so one of the things that I want you to do is get creative and do a game this week on your social media platform. You can also do this in newsletters, but social media is immediate. You're going to get immediate feedback, more so than email. And so I'd love for you to give it a try. And if you come across a great game that you love, send it to me. I'd love to see it and share it. These are little tidbits that we'll start sharing some on social media too. And so I'd love to have yours and give you credit for it if you find something that works and is fun for you. Okay, good stuff. Let's talk about creating a challenge. Okay, all of these kind of blend together. And challenges are something that brings community together. Okay, I want to tell you a story and be super honest with you. In the past, I've been in the fitness business. And as a coach and knowing a lot about nutrition and fitness, I always was challenges were weird to me. Like, why would you diet once a year, or not even diet, but why would you pay attention or think about what you're eating once a year? And it really took my community and my clients to say, we love just doing it together and kind of getting this renewed energy. And then it made total sense to me. I'm not a challenge kind of person, so I didn't understand it until they told me why it was so important to them and why they wanted to do challenges. And then we started doing them, and it changed it was just incredible what it can do. And so just a couple things you could do, and I'm going to give you some examples of this too, but you can announce some sort of challenge, and you want this to have to do with your business. Okay, this isn't some other challenge that is personal. It's something related to your business. Give them a challenge and have customers sign up for it. So you can have them join an email list where you're going to email the challenge out maybe weekly, or you can just ask on social media and have people comment if they're in, right? Like, just to see kind of who's going, and create a small group of people doing it. And then you want to trickle out the challenge. It's not a one-time challenge. It's going to be over a set of time. So it could be 3 weeks. It could be 4 weeks. It could be There's some that do it indefinitely. I don't recommend that for small businesses. I think a time frame is very helpful to push some of your, your smaller base of clients into doing it with you. But let's take email, for example. You could set up a challenge and send your clients a weekly email that gives them something to do that leads to a goal. Okay. So for example, we could have with this class, I could have started with a challenge and say, okay, I'm going to challenge you guys within 30 days, get 10 new followers on a social media platform of your choice. And then every week I could just trickle out a little tip for you to do, kind of like I have all in this presentation, and then have you do it and then report back your results at the end. So we could have easily made this a challenge, and you can do that with your clients too. The other way that you could do it, if emails aren't your thing, is you could go live on social media to share the weekly, whatever it is that you want them to do. That's part of the challenge. And just let them know what day you're going to do it and what time you're going to do it. And people will be watching for it, and it's just fun. When you go live on social media, it does save it and makes it a post, so it'll be there for others that don't catch you live. But it's a fun way to really converse with your customer base and do those challenges. And then if you're going to do a challenge, I love if you can give it a hashtag. You don't always have to do that. I mean, there are so many hashtags out there. It's very difficult to come up with something unique. But it's a great way for people to use the hashtag as they're talking about the challenge, or if they're posting updates about it, to kind of allow you to follow it and know what they're doing, which is really cool. So let me give you some examples of this. One might be if you are, if you sell a product for, I don't know, protein powder, or a green powder for health. You could do a 30-day green smoothie challenge, right? Where you get people to sign up, and for 30 days, maybe every week for 5 weeks, you're going to send them a new recipe or 2 new recipes that they're going to try that week with shopping lists. Okay, so you make it super simple for them. So that's a fun one, or something like that to do, where it's industry related. So if you're selling a product that goes in the green smoothie, but they don't necessarily have to buy your product or service to participate. And that's the goal, because you're really just trying to create participation here, and getting those clients super connected to you. Another example, and this is a lot, if you want to go look it up on social media, the hashtag is called Fits in My Mini, FITSINMYMINI, and that's the mini vehicles that you guys might be familiar with. They're really fun and cute, and they're tiny. They're super tiny inside if you've ever been in one. My nephew has one. It's amazing, but it's so tiny. So the company has just an ongoing hashtag challenge that they challenge you to get as much stuff as you can into the car and post a picture of it. So you'll see people moving and they've got furniture hanging out of the car or whatever it might be. The photos are always so funny, and it creates community. Like people who drive minis, if you're aware of the Mini brand, they are a club. They are in it with each other. They talk about it. They're in forums together. So the hashtag kind of brings all that together, which is something that you can relate to a small business as well. That makes it fun. You can also do photo challenges. So you can ask people to post photos of something specific. It might have to do with your products or services, but it could just be related to. It could be anything. So for example, if I were going to do one, I might, oh gosh, what would I do to get people to do photos? To take a photo with a client, a selfie with a client, and post it and tag the SBDC. And that would allow me to follow it and share what they're doing. And then maybe whoever has the most creative, or whichever photo has the most likes, gets a little prize or something, or just gets social recognition. People love that too. You don't have to spend any money on it. I would invite you guys to see some examples around this. This is just one that here locally does it really well, and it's Roanoke Parks and Recreation. So if you're not already following them on social media, I think it's Roanoke Parks and Rec, or it might just be Roanoke Parks. I can't remember, but I'm sure you'll find it if you search that. And they are always doing challenges, which is really fun. They have one where they hide a gnome in parks, and they encourage people to go out and find it. And when you find it, you take a picture and post it. And they just do all kinds of fun stuff. They do, can you hike 100 miles this summer, right? The 100-mile club. So really cool stuff that might inspire you for some things that you could do with your business. But challenges are always just kind of fun. They're especially fun in the summer. So one of the things I'm going to encourage you to do, it might take you some time to plan this. I think these take a little bit more effort, but I want you to consider some sort of challenge that could relate back to your business, and that your customers would have fun with. And just think through that. If you have a team that works with you, get their input, and see if that's something that you can do in the coming month or two. Do you guys have any questions around the challenge piece? These are always far more work than some of the other things, but just very fruitful and rewarding on both parts, on your customers, and they're just fun for you once you get into them. Okay, we're going to keep going then. The next one is pulling back the curtain. Oh, great. I've got a question. It says, may giving a prize ever ruin things? No. I love that. So, for example, a t-shirt, or anything that you could do. You could give away a product or a service, although I'd recommend that you do like sample sizes of products and mini services, nothing that would be seen of too much value. You don't want to give away a lot of value, especially as a small business. It's important for people to understand that what you have is of value, but giving them, something else, a prize, can absolutely be a lot of fun. And you'll see that happening a lot on social media. I don't think I have social media influencers on here with me, but they're considered a business as well. And they'll often go together to buy something, maybe an Apple Watch or an iPad or something. They all go in together and they do a big challenge with all of them together, and then someone wins it. So it's very little cost for them, and it allows them to kind of share their audience. And those are always fun. So you could potentially do that with another small business that could be related to in some way. So not a direct competitor. I always give the example of the wedding industry. If you are a salon, you could easily work with a nail salon to do something really fun, right? Or if you are a caterer, you could work with someone else, a florist, for example, to do something really fun. So a relatable business, just not specifically a direct competitor. Okay, so pull back the curtain. You guys know this. We talked a little bit about it last week, but customers are fascinated by how things work. They're fascinated with it. And so maybe you're an office, all right? Maybe you offer a service and there's nothing that works, but really all the behind the scenes stuff, everything that we take for granted, is fascinating for people. So for example, right now, so many of us are virtual. Not long ago, I posted a picture of where I'm sitting, like from the other view. So when I cut my camera on today, you see what's behind me, but you don't see my desk and all the stuff that's on it. And so I just took a picture to share with people. This is what's on the other side. And so it's just fun for people to see, oh, we've been in so many meetings together or trainings together. I didn't know that's where you were. So that's kind of fun. But here's why it's super important. It helps your customers appreciate the quality of your service or product and the care behind it. We care about our businesses. We are all in, and people love that about it. And so the more you can share from that end, the more connected your customers feel. The next one I have there, you guys can read that. It just makes them feel unique and special. And here's the one that a lot of people are like, oh, I didn't realize that. But it gives everyone something to share. So just as human nature, when we learn a little nugget about something, we tell other people, right? It's something we naturally share because we want everybody to know about it, or we want to tell somebody if you had a great experience, right? But really those knowledge nuggets are really important too. So that's an example of that, and people can share that. One of the things that I love to talk to people about is that people buy solutions. And when you come, let's say you're open a business and you're working with the Small Business Development Center to do that, one of the things that we really push is finding the solution to a problem, right? Because that's what people are buying. They're spending their money on solutions. But the really key part to that is, honestly, they connect with people. So the people side of this is just as important as what you're selling. And so pulling back the curtain allows people to get to know you, what happens behind the scenes. Maybe if you are a purchaser and you buy products, maybe a short video or some photos of you wherever you're at doing your buying, right? Like, it's kind of neat for people to see that behind the scenes stuff. I know so many of our local retail shops, I know them, and I know they take these really cool trips to buy really cool stuff. I don't share any of it. And there's a lot of industry around that, but I just really encourage you guys to share some of those behind the scenes stuff. A couple examples I'll give you. Vogue, like the magazine, which I guess now is more of a website and social media platform, but if you follow them on social media, and I actually didn't, someone told me about this and I was obsessed with it. They do something called 72 questions. And it's where, and it's kind of, some of them are behind the scenes, so they'd be good for you to watch. But basically someone comes in with a camera, and whoever's on the other side being interviewed, they're asked 72 questions, and then they're like fired at them, rapid fire, and the person answers them really quick on the spot. And it's super fun, and it's just interesting. And 72 sounds a lot. You don't have to do that. You can do like 10 questions, but those rapid fire kind of stuff about how things happen behind the scenes is a lot of fun for people. We're hoping to do one soon, a video about it. But check that out. That's a great one. Another great example, and this isn't specifically related to what you might do as a small business, but just to get the point across, if you guys remember the Toy Story movie, the very first one, that and Monsters, Inc. were one of the first movies that, as part of the movie release, they did a whole nother movie on making of the movie and all the behind the scenes stuff that went into making those movies. Now that's pretty common. But at the time, it was like, whoa, especially when you start talking about animation. I know my son loved them. I remember that year that Monsters, Inc. came out, we had the CD, because you still had them way back then. And we went to the beach, and I couldn't get him off of this little thing that he had. I don't even remember what they were called at the time, the screen that he was watching the movie on. He wasn't watching the movie. He was watching making of, because that was so interesting and it made him so curious. And as adults, we're no different. We love to see that kind of stuff. So in the next couple of weeks, I want you to share a behind the scenes photo or video for bonus points. Video is always better, but if you're not comfortable with that, or you're still trying to get used to it, photos are fine. And so I want you guys to do that. Think about something that you could share with people just behind the scenes. Okay, let's talk about bringing them together. We're getting ready to wrap it up here. I'm going to go through this super quick because I don't think it relates to either of you guys that are on here today, but just in case, or might inspire you some other way. But being able to connect your customers to each other and to you is important if you're in the right industry. And so this is really important to us at the Small Business Development Center. It's important if you have a membership-based type business. But that's creating events, workshops, live streams, chats, mastermind groups are another one, virtual roundtables. But here's the one thing that I really love are the events and workshops. And I love if you have a public space or even an office space, offering some sort of workshop in your space is a really great way for customers to be able to connect with you. And typically when I do one-on-one advising, it's one of the things that we talk about, like, are there workshops you can offer? And here locally, a great example of that is Fleet Feet. If you guys aren't following them, just look them up on social media. You'll see some of the things that they do. They do a lot of community work, but they have workshops right in their space. Not right now, and they're doing a lot of things virtually, but they open up their store and they have workshops. And while it's typically related to their industry, whether it's health or fitness, walking, running, it's also, they do a self-defense class. They do lots of different workshops. And so it doesn't have to be specifically related. It's just a way to bring your clients together and things that they're interested in, especially if you have space. Obviously now we can do so many things virtually. So that's a great way too. I'm going to move on from that. If you guys have questions about it, let me know. But that's usually the least popular one because it doesn't apply to everyone. And then the last one is giving your customer base a name. This is one that might not be relatable to you as well, although it could be, or you could have fun with it. But when you're able to give your customer base a name, it captures the spirit of your brand. And so it could be weird, it could be funny, it could be quirky, whatever the vibe is of your business, it could reflect that. But just some examples, and I'm sure you guys have better ones. But I put Swifties up here for Taylor Swift fans, if you guys aren't familiar with that. I had not been a Taylor Swift fan until her recent album dropped. And now I'm like, oh, I just love that album. I don't know that I'd call myself a Swiftie, but her whole fan base does, and they relate to it, and they're basically a club all their own, which is fantastic. Potterheads for Harry Potter, Raider Nation for the Raiders football. Almost all football teams have some sort of name for their fans. And so thinking about if that relates to you and your business and the way that you interact with customers, certainly giving them a name could be fun and a way for them to come together and connect. Okay, last one is sharing the stage. We touched on this last week, but I want to do a little bit more in depth here. And this is sharing the stage with your customers. We all love to see people in our community doing well. It inspires us and moves us. And a great example of that is just, with us at the Roanoke Small Business, although our stuff is confidential, sometimes we'll reach out to our clients and ask, hey, you just made this great post about whatever it was. Can we share this? We'd love to share it. And if they give us permission, we share it. If things are on social media, you can kind of feel out your client base of whether you need to ask them if you can share or not. We specifically have to because our services are confidential. That's not the case with most businesses. And typically if they're posting it on social media for the public, they have no problem with you sharing it. But certainly you know your customer base better than I, so you can play that by ear and do what's right for them. But a great way to do that is just to share a post that they have that's really cool or fun. Maybe it has to do with your business, maybe it doesn't. Just really cool things that your customers are doing. So a lot of outdoor brands do this, and they'll share images, and it doesn't have anything to do with their brand or their clothing or their shoes or whatever it is. It's just bringing community together around the outdoors. And so if you can kind of apply that to your own business, it doesn't have to be specifically about your product or service, but something that interests your clients and being able to share that. And then obviously if anyone posts, and you're going to know this by social listening, and references you or tags you or is talking about your service or product, you want to share that, like be on top of it, because that creates incredible social proof. We all have a hard time trusting, right? So it takes us just a little bit to trust. We have to see you and your business many times before we're going to interact with you. But once I'm at the active stage, you can move me into connected by sharing social proof, and I guess a common example of that is before and after photos that we all love and hate. But that's social proof, right? And people use that all the time. The other could be interviews that you do with your clients or customers, which could be really fun. Right before COVID-19 changed our environment, we had a video series we were working on where we were going to go into some of our clients' brick and mortar businesses and do fun interviews and kind of show people around the store. And we'll pick that back up when it's safe to do so. But things like that you can just do that are fun with your clients. If interviews are tough or your clients are online and that just doesn't match with your industry, you can always just share photos or even just stories. You don't have to share a photo of the client. You could just tell a story. And the way that you want to tell the story is to make your customer the hero of the story, right? So you're not making yourself or your business the hero. You're making your customer the hero because that's what people want to see. You want them to know how great you are, but they don't want to read you say that, right? They're going to be much more connected to you if you're making your customer the hero or someone else the hero. It also very much highlights what you're doing and elevates you and your brand. But when you're thinking about how to write that, just think about you're writing a story about your customer and they're the hero of the story. Someone once told me, if you make your customer a hero, they're going to stick with you for life. So I always thought that was good advice because for sure it happens. And I know our biggest fans are those that we share posts of or their success stories. And it's just a lot of fun and rewarding for you to see what your business is doing for people. Okay, so for this, I do have a to-do for you, and it's not necessary to share the stage. I do want you to do that, but really I want you to start the process of community engagement and share one of your customers' social media posts if that's relevant to you. And if some of you are building your social media and that may not be, you're going to tuck this away for the future, but you can go ahead and start the community engagement that we've been talking about all along with the social listening, doing the games, asking people for input, all of that good stuff, really being engaging with them. And that will set you up to be able to share the stage at some point. If you don't have the client base to do that today, by doing those other things, you're going to be set up to do this. And in the future, you're going to be able to. And I think you'll see how fun it is for you too. It always makes us feel good to lift someone else up. So I love doing these kind of posts. They're fun for me. All right, guys, we are almost done. I just want to share a few last pointers. This is the last slide. And it's just some personal things that you can do to make a big impact with your clients. And this, it doesn't matter if you're online or in person or however you interact with your clients, particularly as you're making a sell. These things can have a big impact, and I hope that you'll implement some of them, and if you have staff that you train them with these as well. The first one is called Remember the Lemons, and this is just a quick story about being in the restaurant industry, and I would love for you guys to experiment with this. And what Remember the Lemons is it's a story about a customer who went into a restaurant and they ordered their food and drink, and they ordered water, and they said, "With 3 lemons, please." They didn't pause, or they just said it like, it's their order, with 3 lemons. Almost all the time when that person orders the same thing at every restaurant, they never get 3 lemons. They just get a bowl of lemons or 1 lemon or 2 lemons in, or whatever it is. They don't get the 3 lemons. But in one specific restaurant, and not the fanciest of restaurants, they had a waiter that remembered the 3 lemons and specifically gave them to them in a bowl and said, when they approached the table, "I have 3 lemons for you, and if you'd like more, let me know." And that made that customer like, finally someone listened to, I wanted exactly 3 lemons. Now, I have no idea why they wanted 3 lemons, and more importantly, I think they were probably testing, which may not be fair, but it's a great example of paying attention to detail. It's not just about the lemons. It's that you paid enough attention to know that it was 3 lemons, right? And so paying attention to those details is crazy important. So next time you guys are out to eat, ask for water with 3 lemons and see what you get. Let me know. I'd love to know. I've done this twice, and I also have not received 3 lemons. So it's a fun little experiment. The other around that is, and this is with the lemons, kind of paying attention to detail. If you have the opportunity to know your customer's name, use it as much as possible with them. I used to teach for Dale Carnegie, and one of the things that I learned through my training there and then training other people with this is your name is the sweetest word in the English or whatever language you speak to you. Okay, so to you, it literally in your ears, like scientifically in the brain, when you hear your name, it sends a very good feeling through your body. Now you can say, well, what about when I was little and my mom would say my first and middle name and be really angry? Not that. It's just in general, when someone remembers your name and uses it with you, it leaves you with a very good feeling. And that's not selfish or self-absorbed. It's just a fact. The way our brains are wired, we know that name from birth. It's the most familiar word to us in language. So being able to hear it makes that special connection. So use that as much as possible. All right, send unexpected messages. This is just an opportunity. If you have a client that is engaged with you, whether they email you or they're engaged in social media and they comment a lot on your stuff, reach out to them and send them just an unexpected message. Just one day out of the blue that says, hey, I really appreciate you following along and engaging with us. It's so fun to hear from you, and encourages other people to do the same. You can put that in your own words or do something very similar, but it's unexpected. They don't expect you to do that. They might expect you to post on what they said, but they wouldn't expect a message, a private message about it. So it's a cool way to do an unexpected message. And I think last time I told you guys about an example of this where a company, when someone signs up for their product, whoever, it may not be the owner, although this is a very small company, and so sometimes it is the owner. When that comes through, they have a system set up that lets them know when someone signs up, and they stop whatever they're doing wherever they are, and they do just a super quick thank you video, and it's super short and to the point, and they send it to the person, and it just creates this incredible vibe that, wow, okay, like they were totally in the grocery store with their family and they stopped for a second and sent this quick message. And these days with the phones that we have, it's so super quick and easy to do. And so it's just a great way to delight and surprise and give those unexpected messages to your customer base. Number 3 is get them involved. And that is if you have an opportunity for them to volunteer for maybe an event that you're going to have, or a workshop or anything, or roles that you have that you need help with. Let's say you have a private group on Facebook and you need someone to help administer it. This is a great time to ask your customer base to get involved. And you might get nothing, you might hear crickets, but once people do get involved, they love to do that. There's certainly people that don't, and that's okay too, but there's a great group of people out there that love to get involved. And you just wouldn't believe how much they will do on their own time, under their own will, not being paid, just because they love your business or they love your brand or they love what you're doing or what you're bringing to the community. So that may be relatable to some of you guys, and you can think about that as you go along if it's an opportunity to get them involved in some way. And then lastly is offering, VIP access. And this, again, could be very specific to your business, and you have to think this through of what that might mean for you. But I always think about it as putting your customers or your fans first. And so these are your biggest, most connected customers. How can you give them some sort of VIP treatment? And so an easy example is you could have a product or a service where there's a VIP package that you pay for VIP status and you give them more for that. Okay, so that's a clear, you just have a VIP package that you're able to sell people, or a pass. And that's kind of the easy one. But it also could be something that's free. Maybe you have reoccurring clients or reoccurring customers that you want to appreciate once a year, and you have a little small event for them, even if it's just like a virtual coffee or something, or a way for them to have access directly to you as the owner on a call, or on a video chat, or just over coffee, whatever it might be. It just depends on what your business is. But think about ways that you can treat folks like VIP. I want to tell you a quick story about this that I think is so funny. And you may have heard it. It's called the bus stop story. And a gentleman just doing an experiment in marketing, it was a college student actually, went to a bus stop, just a regular bus stop in a bigger city, the ones that have those kind of shelters that you sit under. I'm sure you guys have seen those. And what they did is they took half of that bench and he taped it off. I don't know, maybe caution tape. I don't know what he taped it off with, but taped it off and took this like little cord like you would see in a bank to separate the lines. I don't know what those things are called, stanchions, I believe, and set it up and told people as they approached, would you like to sit in the VIP seating area? And he was charging people $5 to do this. And let me tell you, it worked. And you could probably search this on Google and find the picture. I couldn't find it for this, but I know it's out there, where he's got a picture of these people kind of crammed on this bench that paid $5. And there's no difference from the VIP seating and the other seating. And it wasn't even really VIP seating, but the notion of it being so worked. And so oftentimes you're going to have a client base that wants the best of the best. And if you don't offer a VIP product or service, they may go elsewhere. But it's also just a way to show them and offer them an opportunity to really have more engagement with you. Okay, tell me what questions, if any, you have. I'm going to turn on my video just to say hello real quick before we hop off here. Okay, hello guys, fantastic. Any questions? You guys are welcome to come off mute if you want. Okay, here we go. Okay, this was awesome, so many nuggets. 2 questions. When you get other businesses and friends and family to post, especially connected businesses, do you have the business identify they are a business and state who they are? It could go either way. They don't have to, and it's common that you don't. It's just, and you don't want to do it inauthentically, right? So I have lots of friends that own businesses. I have lots of you guys that own businesses. And I know some of your business names. I'm not sure I know Melinda's. And I'll follow you guys on social media, and you might see me post because I'm going to comment, one, to help you, but also just I'm curious and interested in what you're doing. And so I'm being authentic, but I'm also from the Roanoke Regional Small Business Development Center and interested in your success, right? So it goes both ways, but I don't need to identify that. I don't need to identify that that's who I'm with. And sometimes when I do feel like I need to identify that, I will make a personal post that's something that's off of my mind, like that I want to say to them. And then I'll also make a post under the Small Business Development Center that may be, something more relatable to that, like cheering them on or something like that. And I might do both. So it's coming from me personally and the business. And so that's one way that you can handle it. But I'd say for you guys just to think about who your client base and your business is and what makes sense for you and for the other people that you're kind of have that club to do, that you're helping each other out by doing that. And then number 2, may you do interacting, like, for example, the games from a blog forum, or is that not interactive enough? So absolutely, you can absolutely do that there. I'd encourage you also to do it on social. So typically when you have a blog forum, that's going to be your already connected customers. Those who are super active with you, they're engaged, you already have their attention. And so you want to do that there, and that's totally okay. But I'd also suggest that it's a great way to build and to move some of your more casual clients up into that active and connective status. And so to do that, I would encourage you to do it in a broader, email base or social media, so that you gather those people too. So both would be great. And it absolutely is interactive enough. It just may not reach some of your more casual people that you're trying to pull down that funnel, right, and get them in with you. Okay, it doesn't look like you guys have any other questions, so I'm going to let you go. It's 3 minutes after, and I swore that this was only going to take an hour. But you guys are so fun and had great questions. I loved talking about this with you. I have a couple of nuggets that I'm going to send you that are some pitfalls with some of the things that we've talked about, because when you think about social media and being in such a public place, there are, we take risks and chances by doing that. And so I'm going to share a couple of nuggets. I didn't want to do it today. I really just wanted to email so that you have it to digest. And when you get that, feel free to reach back out to me if you have questions. I know a couple of you tried to make advising appointments with you, and I love you for that. Thank you. I also know that my calendar is so full that it's September before I have openings. And while I hate that, we do have very small capacity being a nonprofit. So, but please do, if you want to have a meeting with me, please do that. It is September, but I'd love to talk with you. And we have other advisors too, certainly. So I hope to see you guys soon. And if you guys will, I'd love to just stay updated on your business. Just shoot me an email. You guys have my email address. I'll send this recording to you today and some other nuggets. Just stay in touch with me. I wish you the best. I hope that you stay strong and healthy right now. And if you need any assistance at all, please reach out to me. I'll see you guys later.